Welcome back to the DFS Sweatshop. I am your host, the DFS Jerusalem, and you can follow me on Twitter at DFS Jerusalem. A really great monster slate, 11 games that we're going to be recapping tonight. We're going to go with our regular formatting of the show. We're going to first start off with our core four review. That's where we take a look at the core of players that I presented to you earlier yesterday and go and see if they really got that 6x value that we were looking for, because that's what we do. When we start our core, we go with four guys. That's half of our roster, and we're trying to get as many guys as we can, the four, to combine together to meet 6x value. That's what we want. We want to get these guys to be 6 times their salary. An example, if a guy's 3K, he's got to score 18 points. If a guy is 10K, we want him to score 60 points. And we're going to review those guys, see how we did, and if we hit that target for the 6x that we were looking for. Next, we're going to jump into our feature four players, where we discussed the Who Dat scoring all them points over there player of the night, the Heat Check player tonight, and the How Did I Miss That play, followed by that one motherfucker. After that, we're going to be getting into my best DraftKings lineup, as well as player pricing for tomorrow's 5-game slate before we jump into the point totals that are available. And we're going to do a game-by-game analysis to go ahead and get a jump on tomorrow's slate. Let's go ahead and start with the core four review. Now, I talked to you about this earlier. There were 4 guys that really stood out for me. And see, what I do is, about the time when I'm doing my player analysis, my pricing analysis, when I go through, you're going to see me do it in just a moment, when I go through and I look at all the guys' pricings, that is where I'm developing my player pool. Now, part of my strategy is I like to keep my player pool around 30 guys. That way, if I mix and match them and get them in different lineups and they do well, I can reap the benefits in multiple lineups, because I only run 5 lineups per slate. That's the max. I'm going to run 5 lineups. I'm going to enter those 5 lineups in as many different contests as I can. So we're going to start with the first guy that I had on the list. I was very high on him all day. He gave us a great scare in the first half of the game. Some news came out later on in the day that he was going to be on a minutes, not a minutes restriction. I think a lot of us got that wrong. He wasn't going to be on the minutes restriction, but he was going to have his minutes monitored. And I felt like the coaches were going to, play him sparingly in the first half, and if the game was winnable without him, then they would continue that strategy. Or if they needed him to go ahead and try to get the game back under control, he would play a lot in the second half, and that's exactly what happened. So I kind of read that game script right. And this is John Wall. John Wall was at 9.2K, so for him to return that 6x value, I mean, we needed him to score what, upwards of almost 60 points. We're talking 55, 57 points is what we needed from him. We didn't quite get that. He was right at 42.5 DraftKings points, so we did kind of take a hit with him. We didn't get what we were looking for from John Wall, but he was still a decent play. 42 points is nothing to shake a stick at, especially when we're trying to get to 300. So we did do okay with John Wall. The next play that we talked about was Boogie. Now, and Boogie also had a really rough start to the game, but he did end up righting the ship. He scored 58.75 DK points, and I think we were looking at for him 6x value for him was right around 50, so he did exceed that 6x value. So I like to think that he took those extra 8 points and gave it to John Wall, so John Wall made value too. The next guy was going to be Richaun Holmes. I really liked him, especially when we heard the news that Joel Embiid was going to be out, because Joel Embiid was initially going to be a part of my core 4, but when he was out, I liked Richaun Holmes anyway. I think he's just a really good player. I liked him anyway. So at 3.7K, he was definitely a kind of a free square for us, and he could have had a double-double. He could have had a much better game, but he ended up having 21.75 DraftKings points. That definitely reached about that 6x value that we were looking for. We needed him to score right around 24, 25, but he was right there with it. And the final play we talked about was probably somebody who I was like most high on. As the day went on, I liked this guy more and more and more, and that was Clint Capella. Now I wanted to get some exposure to that Houston and Oklahoma City game, and it was either my core four was going to be a guy from that game. Either it was going to be Vic Oladipo or it was going to be Clint Capella. Either way, I couldn't go wrong. But Clint Capella was the safer play for me to have him in as many lineups as I could, because he relies more on defense and rebounding, things that we know are a natural part of a game sequence. Whereas we needed Oladipo to go out and just shoot the lights out, which was something that he hadn't been doing up to that point. So that's why we went with Clint Capella at our core four position, the last position. And he had a really great game. 38 points, was coming in at 5.1K. So to meet that 6x value, he needed to get 30 DraftKings points. Well, he definitely exceeded that, and he had 38. So together, the target score that we were looking for from these four guys was 161.4 DraftKings points. Them combined together, if they'd have got 161.4 DraftKings points, that would have been exactly what we were looking for. Well, they got 161 DraftKings points. So we were give me some dap on that. Bam. So we were right where we wanted to be. Core 4 hit. It was great. It was a good night. Tripled up on all of my entries, and it was a very good showing from today's core 4 plays. The wonderful thing about this is you guys are using your own cores. You're coming up with your own sequences of plays. You're getting this theory down, and you're really making it your own. And it's wonderful because I'm getting tweets all the time by the guy, yo, I liked your core, but I went with my own and I got 340. Wonderful. That's what this is about. We want to streamline our lineups. And I've been getting questions about how do I come up with the other 4 guys. And I'm going to break this down for you again. This is what I do. Once I have established my core 4 plays, these guys that I can count on, or I am counting on to get 6x value, I need 4 more roster spots. What I do, like everybody else, I listen to the podcast, see what everybody's talking about, see who's the more popular guys going to be played, because I know if these guys go off, the popular guys go off, and I don't have them, then I'm not going to be able to make I'm not going to be able to keep pace with the rest of the field. Therefore, my core 4, even if it does hit, it's not going to be, unless they go crazy, I'm not going to be able to stay with the rest of you guys that had a couple chalk plays. That's what we call them in the industry, chalk plays that did really well. So I listen to all the podcasts, see what everybody's talking about on Twitter, different sites that I follow. You know, your Roto Grinders, your Roto Curve, Fantasy Labs, things of that nature. And I select 2 guys that are going to be chalk plays that I like. Now I need 2 more guys. Well, this is where I look to the NBA and I see what the coaches are doing, see what the coaches' decisions are, see what injuries may have come up, any suspensions, any kind of coaching decision, just something that is external, that doesn't come from me, it doesn't come from you, but it comes from the actual NBA. And I take 2 guys from there. And that's how I build my 8-man roster. So now that we got that out of the way, let's go ahead and get into who is that over there scoring all them points, player of the night. It is none other than Wilson Chandler, man. This dude had an awesome game. We're talking about 4.9K. Very cheap salary. 3.9% owned, so nobody was really on him like that. He had 28 points, 11 boards, 5 assists, 1 steal, and he made 2 3-pointers for 54.75 DraftKings points. That is 11 times value. That's awesome. That's awesome. The how did I miss that play of the night is going to go to Vic Oladipo, man. And the reason why I put him in there is because I left him out of the core 4 when he was initially going to be a part of it. So I missed on that. I only had him in one lineup. I believe it may be, not this lineup, but I'll show you that lineup too. That was a really great play from Vic Oladipo. He went out and at 5.5K, 2.9% owned, he scored 55.5 DraftKings points, exactly 11 times value. Awesome play if you had him in your lineups. He had 29 points, 5 assists, 10 boards, 2 steals, and he made 5 3-pointers. Very great game from Vic Oladipo. Now, the heat check player tonight is going to go to the overall best fantasy player, regardless of salary. This is the guy that's just tops in points for the night right now, and it is Giannis Antetokounmpo. Had a really great game. His ownership was very low at 9K flat. He was 8.1% owned. He had 60.75 DraftKings points, 26 points, 15 rebounds, 7 assists. He was on the triple-double watch, 2 blocks and a steal. Really filled up the stat sheet. Great game from Giannis Antetokounmpo. And now we get to that one motherfucker. That one motherfucker who fucked up our lineups. This motherfucker, he supposed to have been a late night hammer. You supposed to come through and win me all the money in the end. And what you do? You shit yourself. So tonight, and you lost. And you let the same little young dude drop 30 on you 2 games in a row. Supposed to be the best defensive point guard in the league. One of the greatest point guards ever. How do you end up being the motherfucking snowflake of the night? CP3? Your snowflake ass. How you gonna go ahead and let this man show you up like that at your crib? Y'all was in LA. And he just did this to you a week ago. You don't remember nothing? Snowflake ass motherfucker. Gonna go out and play 37 minutes almost. 8.8K. Eating up all the salary. 6% on. You was in position. 6% on. 8.8K. 9 points. 2 rebounds. 6 assists. And 5 steals. For 30 DraftKings points. That's not enough, CP3. And that's why tonight, you are a motherfucking snowflake. And we ain't gonna roster your ass again. Tonight. Because you're one of the greatest point guards ever. And we got to get you in our lineup the next time you play. But tonight, you can sleep as a snowflake. Let's move on. Now, we're going to go ahead and get into my best DraftKings lineup tonight. Just to give you an idea of how the construction goes. Now, here, I definitely had my core 4 locked in. I'm talking about I had, of course, Capella was in there. I had DeMarcus Cousins where I wanted him. I had John Wall in this lineup, and I had Holmes as well. But when the LeBron news broke, and I remember a lot of you may remember this from me tweeting this out. When the LeBron news broke, I had to get a share of Kyrie Irving and of Kevin Love because I knew that their usage was going to go through the roof. Everybody was going to be on them, and if I didn't pivot from what I had to them, I was going to be left behind. So I thought. So we took out John Wall, put Kyrie Irving in there. I had to get Kevin Love, so I moved up from Richaun Holmes up to Kevin Love, which made me have to come down in other spots. I went down to Brandon Knight. He was somebody who I really liked. Anyway, he was a value play that I was looking at. If you remember last night's show, I talked about him some and how I like to play him. But I had some left over, so I went to Millsap. And then at shooting guard, I did want to get a piece of that Philadelphia game just because I like Gerald Henderson. He's a very good play for the cheap. So we got Gerald Henderson in there, and I had this is funny right here because with this guy, I had just enough to get him. Marcus Morris. He was definitely in the running for tonight's snowflake because this lineup finished at 310 DraftKings points. This is a 300 club lineup with a fucking snowflake on it. Marcus Morris. You a co-snowflake. You a twin. Well, you don't mind being a twin snowflake with Chris Paul, your snowflake ass. And that was tonight's best DraftKings lineup. Just to give you a quick overview of how we did this, I had this lineup entered in the NBA 35K annual one. That is a dollar tournament. I start all my models in the dollar games, and I might enter it 3 or 4 times if I like it. If I really like it, I'll put it in the larger GPP. This is the 450K. It paid out 50K to first. Congrats to the guy who won it. I finished 5,000 out of 132,000 in that, and I finished 1,000 out of 41,000 in that one. So that was a pretty good showing from this lineup. I'm gonna show you maybe one more because I had quite a few lineups hit the 300 mark. Actually, it wasn't that hard on an 11-game slate. It's so many teams, so many options, so much scoring that reaching 300 is not as hard as it is on a 6, 7, or 8-game slate. This is another lineup we had here that Let's show. Yeah. This is a Vic Oladipo line that I really liked, and I had it entered in a few tournaments. And this is one of the ones where I did get off of a player that I really liked, and I had Kyrie Irving here because, like we talked about, that news broke. I had to get him in some lineups. Um, uh, I should have got Kevin Love in here as well. But when this is the Mike Muscala news that broke because of Dwight Howard. So we got Tobias Harris, who was a really good play. Vic Oladipo went out and had a good game. I stick to my core. That's why you see some of the same similar names. Rashawn Holmes, Clint Capella, you see him in there. And there's our snowflake of the night, his old snowflake ass. This lineup was 290 with Chris Paul being a 30-point snowflake. So I could have had a much better night. I had a really good night though. We tripled our buy-in. That's always good. I won back the money I lost last night and then some, and we move on to the next 5-game slate so that we can get some more of the monies. Now, quickly, we're going to roll through. It was a huge monster 11-game slate. We are going to roll through that, and because we've got to look at where we were, or what happened, to know what we're going to do going forward, right? So we're going to start. The first game we're going to talk about is going to be the Washington Wizards going to Philadelphia, taking on the 76ers. Really good game from Otto Porter. Kind of surprising. I haven't drank the Kool-Aid on Otto Porter yet, and you guys are steadily reaping the benefits of having Otto Porter in your lineups. Tonight he played 41 minutes, had 15 points, 13 rebounds, an assist, 4 steals, and a block. Very solid game for him. We saw Marc Gortat with a double-double, 10 points, 14 rebounds. Markieff Morris had 19 points and 4 rebounds. And John Wall, of course, we talked about him, 27 points, 4 rebounds, 6 assists, and 1 steal in only 23 minutes. We need to watch that going forward, his minutes count, that is. We saw a really good game from Jahlil Okafor on the other side of the ball. In 20 minutes, he had 19 points, 5 rebounds, and 2 assists. Sergio Rodriguez, the old Spanish chocolate, was getting it in. He dished out 12 dimes to go with 7 points and 4 rebounds for him. Dario Saric came off the bench, had a really good game, 13 points with 12 rebounds and 1 assist for him. Nick Stauskas got into the action, had 15 points. Ersan Ilyasova, 16 points and 4 rebounds. That was pretty good. The worst of the starters was going to be Robert Covington. I had him nowhere. I just don't like him as a player. I don't think he's very good. But in 23 minutes, he had 4 points, 7 rebounds, and 2 assists. The next game I'm going to get into is going to be the New Orleans Pelicans without Anthony Davis. Remember that news broke, so everybody jumped on Terrence Jones. You had to have him. He was a great play. He went out, and in 37 minutes, he had 26 points, 9 rebounds, 2 assists, and 1 block. And I was like watching the TV, like, please get 1 more rebound, bro. Hit the double-double bonus, because he was so close. And I don't know why this guy is not a regular part of their team. It's only time he really plays and gets off is when somebody's out and he starts. They don't even bring him off the bench enough. Terrence Jones is a really good player from what I can see. Dante Cunningham wasted everybody's time. He had 32 minutes, 7 points, 9 rebounds, 2 steals, and 2 blocks without Anthony Davis. And I'm glad none of us fell for the Omar Ashik or the old Alexia Jinsa. I didn't see him in a lot of lineups, but Langston Galloway came off the bench and had 15 points, 2 rebounds, 2 assists, and 1 steal on the Orlando side. Vucevic was somebody who I really liked, but once I started scrambling and going through everything I was going through before lock, I looked at my lineups after they locked, and I was like, damn, I don't have Vooch anywhere. But I liked them all day. And he had a pretty decent game. 10 points with 14 rebounds to go with 3 blocks in 27 minutes. Serge Ibaka had a pretty good game, 16 points and 8 rebounds with an assist. We also saw a bad game from Elfrid Payton, man. 5 points, 4 rebounds, 4 assists, 3 steals, and 2 blocks. And Aaron Gordon, they just do not like this guy for some reason. I think he's a really good player, but he had 10 points, 4 rebounds, 3 assists, 1 steal, and 1 block in a limited 26 minutes. The next game we're going to get into is going to be the Cleveland Cavaliers without LeBron James going to Indiana to take on the Pacers. We saw a pretty good game from a few on the Cleveland side, most notably Kevin Love, 27 points, 16 rebounds, and an assist for him in 33 minutes. Kyrie Irving got started kind of late, but he ended up with 24 points, 2 rebounds, 7 assists, and 1 steal for him. Nothing else was good with the Cleveland team, and they lost this game in Indiana. But Tristan Thompson did grab 12 boards in 27 minutes to go with 2 points and 3 assists. On the Indiana side, we had a really good game from Paul George, a double-double, 21 points, 11 rebounds, 5 assists for him to go with a steal and a block. Jeff Teague, I almost said George. Jeff Teague in 35 minutes had 20 points, 4 rebounds, 8 assists, 1 steal, and 1 block for him. And Miles Turner, he had a decent game. That price is still a little bit too high for me to deal with. But in 32 minutes, you scored 12 points, you grabbed 8 boards, 4 blocks, which is really good, and a steal. So I guess he came close to making the value that we wanted. Monte Ellis was jacking up threes for 34 minutes, and he only ended up with 7 points and 6 rebounds with 4 assists, 5 blocks, and 1 steal. So he did get into the game defensively, which kind of saved his fantasy output. But CJ Miles, man, he's cooled off. 23 minutes, 10 points, and 1 steal for him. The next game we're going to get into, it's going to be the Dallas Mavericks going to Boston, taking on the Celtics. The weirdest thing about this game was the point was so low. I mean, there was like a standstill when it came to scoring. I think at one point in the third quarter, it was like 64-64. It was a very weird game. But Avery Bradley was a dog in the first half. Like, he went nuts. Had almost 30 DraftKings points, but he finished with 37. So I don't know what he wasn't doing in the second half that he was doing in the first, but he didn't have a very good game. He had 18 points. I mean, but he still had a very good game. He had 18 points, 13 rebounds, and 1 assist in 34 minutes. We had another 30-point game from Isaiah Thomas. This dude's on fire. 30 points, 4 rebounds, and 6 assists for him. Not much else to speak about. Kelly Olynyk, 10 points with 4 boards. Not a very good game from everybody else on the Boston side, but it didn't have to be because they beat Dallas, and it was pretty easy for them. I think so. Harrison Barnes, he did no rebounding. I mean, usually I target rebounders against Boston, but come to find out, there were no rebounders in Dallas. So I'm glad I didn't go too hard with any Dallas plays. The only guy I think I rostered was Harrison Barnes, and in 40 minutes he had 28 points and 2 rebounds to go with an assist and 2 steals. Wesley Matthews was jacking up threes for 37 minutes, and he hit quite a few of them. Had 22 points, 3 rebounds, and 2 steals for him. Nothing else to speak about in this game. Let's move on to the Knicks at home against the Detroit Pistons. Now, if you remember last night's show, I told you how much I loved Porzingis, and he went out and he had probably his best game of the year. In 40 minutes, he scored 35 points to go with 7 rebounds, 3 assists, a steal, and a block. We also saw a pretty good game from Joakim Noah, 7 points with 15 boards. That's pretty good. We got to watch him going forward. He's becoming a real part of the offense because he's willing to do the dirty work. He had 3 assists to go with a steal as well. We saw kind of a mediocre game from Carmelo Anthony. If you rostered him, you were looking for a little bit more than that. He had 22 points, 5 rebounds, 3 assists, and 1 steal in 36 minutes. And Derrick Rose, a respectable 15 points, 5 rebounds, and 3 assists with a block for him. On the Detroit side, we knew Andre Drummond was going to be kind of hobbled, so I just stay away from the centers in this game. Initially, I was like, yo, I'll just start Aaron Baines. Maybe something happens and he re-aggravates something during the game and Drummond comes out and then Baines plays the rest at a low ownership for cheap. But I was like, nah. Once I figured out he was playing for sure, I was like, nah, I didn't mess with anybody, him or John Lure. But I did take my chances with Tobias Harris and Marcus Morris. One of them let me down. The other had a good game, and that was Tobias Harris. 10 rebounds, 1 assist, and 1 steal to go with 19 points. That was a double-double for him. We talked about Marcus Morris. Almost made the snowflake list, but Caldwell Pope had a pretty good game, though. He had 21 points, 4 rebounds, and 3 assists for him. John Lure, he came off the bench and had 17 and 9 to go with 3 assists and 1 steal. So that was a pretty good game from John Lure in 27 minutes. The next game we're going to get into is going to be the Atlanta Hawks at home against the Milwaukee Bucks, and this is where our heat check player tonight came from. Giannis had an excellent game, was on a triple-double watch, But one of the major stories in this game, though, was Jabari Parker. Jabari Parker in 35 minutes had 23 points, 8 rebounds, 3 assists, and 3 steals. Very good game from Jabari Parker. We've got to keep an eye on him going forward. He's a great player. He's really good. And I think there's going to be times throughout the year where we got to roster them both because they're going to play well off of each other. This was one of those nights. Mirza Teletovic jumped off the bench and had 14 points with 4 rebounds. Pretty good game from him. Tony Snell knocked down like 2 threes and had 11 points with 4 rebounds, 3 assists, and 2 steals for him. On the Atlanta side, didn't see a really good game from Dennis Schroeder. He had 12 points, 8 assists with 3 rebounds. It was decent, but not what you wanted if you rostered him at that price point. Paul Millsap got started slow, but he finished with 41 DraftKings points. In 38 minutes, he had 21 points, 8 rebounds, 3 assists, 2 steals, and 1 block. Kind of filled up the stat sheet for you. Mike Muscala did exactly what you wanted him to do. He went out and played 33 minutes, and Dwight Howard's absence had 16 points, 5 rebounds, and 3 assists with 1 block. I kind of thought I would get a little more on the rebounding end, but he scored upwards of 20-something DraftKings points. That was what we needed from him, and we got it. The next game we're going to get into is going to be the Oklahoma City Thunder at home against the Houston Rockets. This game was all that we thought it would be, except for the point total. It wasn't as high as we thought it was going to be. The first half was a very high-scoring half. The second half, they kind of clamped down, settled down, and played a lot more defense. Namely, Clint Capella, man, 13 points with 14 boards to go with 3 blocks. In 27 minutes, a very good game from him at his price point. Trevor Ariza had a really nice game, 11 points, 7 rebounds, 3 assists, and 4 steals. Ryan Anderson, 14 and 3, not a very good game from him. James Harden, 13 points, 7 rebounds, 13 assists, and 3 steals. If you remember, I said fade him. Him and Westbrook, they were not going to make value. They were not good plays. They just were not good plays. In an 11-game slate, I'm going to break this shit down because we're going to talk about slate recognition too. In an 11-game slate, with that many players out there, that many combinations of players that could exceed value, there's no need to go to the top of the food chain. There's no need to roster Harden. There's no need to roster Westbrook on a slate like this. There was no need to roster Anthony Davis if he played because you had so much more options that you could take advantage of. Let's just say we have this one player, he's 12.2K, right? Well, how many combinations of two 6K players or a 5K player and a 7K player would have gotten us more than what James Harden did? That's why it was not a smart play to roster him or Westbrook in any format. I faded them completely. Go check the leaderboards. They're not there. They're not there. The guys that won all the money, they didn't play these guys either, right? So Nene had 11 points with 5 rebounds, an assist, and a steal, and he stole a lot of minutes from Clint Capella. I don't know exactly what was going on there. Maybe they just wanted that veteran presence on the floor later in the game, but I really think Capella would have played better, and they would have won the game if they'd have kept Capella in the game. But hey, who am I? Eric Gordon, 13 points, 5 rebounds, and 4 assists. Mediocre game from him, but he has been playing a lot worse. So maybe this is a positive sign going forward that he is really getting into the offense with James Harden. On the Oklahoma City side of the ball, Russell Westbrook, man, 30 points, 7 rebounds, 9 assists with 2 steals. Now, he was on a triple-double watch, but I just didn't see it happening, so I didn't have him anywhere. Like I said, completely faded Russell Westbrook. Vic Oladipo was the story of this game. In 40 minutes, he played 29 points, 10 rebounds, 5 assists, and 2 steals for him. Not a really good game from anybody else on the Oklahoma City side. So the next game we're going to be getting into is going to be the Golden State Warriors at the Toronto Raptors. This was a game to have a piece of. There was a lot of great fantasy scoring in this game. The problem was the guys who were doing all the work were so highly priced that you couldn't get them in all of your lineups. We saw a quiet 35 points from Steph Curry with 3 rebounds, 7 assists, and 1 steal. Klay Thompson really didn't get into the mix too much. He had 15 points with 4 rebounds, 1 assist, and 1 block for him. Kevin Durant fell 1 rebound shy of that double-double, a 30-point double-double. He had 30 points, 9 rebounds, 6 assists, and 1 steal for him. And Draymond Green kind of did a little bit of everything. He had 11 points, 7 rebounds, 5 assists, 2 steals, 3 blocks. Pretty good game from him. We also saw Andre Iguodala at that very low price point, get 10 points, 3 rebounds, 6 assists, and 2 steals with a block. He kind of filled up the stat sheet, but probably the better play, the best play in this game was Kyle Lowry, man. Coming off a back-to-back, he balled out. He had 24 points, 5 rebounds, 5 assists, and 3 steals for him. DeMar DeRozan is still shooting hot, the hottest shooting player in the league right now. I haven't really been on him recently. A lot of you guys have, and if you have been, it's been working for you. In 37 minutes, he had 34 points, 6 rebounds, 4 assists, and 1 steal. And Jonas Valanciunas kind of underwhelmed in his 18 minutes. He had 12 points to go with 8 rebounds. That was it for him. The next game we're going to get into is going to be the Phoenix Suns traveling to Denver to take on the Nuggets. We saw a really good game from Brandon Knight. We talked about him earlier. He was somebody that I talked about a lot at yesterday's show. I hope you got him in some of your lineups. I know I did, even though I had this old snowflake-ass motherfucker right here that fucked it up. But I had him in a few of my lineups. He did really good. TJ Warren, horrible. He was definitely in the running to be one of the snowflakes of the night, but he's such a young, up-and-coming player. He was bound to have one of those come-down-to-earth games, and tonight he did. He only had 8 points with 1 rebound and 2 steals, and I think he may have had some sort of injury, so we're going to watch out for that going forward. He only played 18 minutes. Marcus Chris, I don't know why they're continuing to start this guy. He's a young player, a rookie, but he only had 11 minutes, 2 points, and 1 rebound. Tyson Chandler, RIP your mom, sorry about that, but you didn't play very well either. 20 minutes, he had 5 points with 5 rebounds. Devin Booker, very scoring-dependent player. He did get 4 rebounds and 2 assists to go with a steal, but he had 24 points in 37 minutes and got ejected from the game. That's why we saw a lot of run from Brandon Knight. Eric Bledsoe was in the running to be one of the snowflakes of the night. Very poor game from him. 8 points, 3 rebounds, 5 assists, and 3 steals. On the Denver side, this is where the Who Dat player came from. Wilson Chandler went the fuck off. This dude was a Knick at one point, and I'm very familiar with him, so I should have been more familiar with him. I can't believe I missed that play. In 35 minutes off of the bench, he had 28 points, 11 rebounds, 5 assists, 1 steal, and 1 block. Really great game, a monster game from Kenneth Faried. Like I said, I didn't know who to roster going into this game. You had the Jokic, the Nurkic, the Darrell Arthur coming back, Kenneth Faried, so I just left it all alone. But in 25 minutes, Kenneth Faried had 20 points and 15 boards with 4 steals and a block, the way he used to do it. So that was a very good game from him. We saw a decent game from Danilo Gallinari. He gets lost in the shuffle sometimes. He had 18 points, 5 rebounds, 2 assists, a steal, and a block for him. Jameer Nelson started and has 17 points to go with a rebound and 2 assists. The next game we're going to get into is going to be the LA Clippers at home getting their ass whipped by the Memphis Grizzlies. We all know what happened in this game. Our snowflake of the night came from this game. The late night hammer snowflake ass came from this game. That's going to be Chris Paul. Played 33 minutes, had 9 points, 2 rebounds, 6 assists, and 5 steals. DeAndre Jordan grabbed 14 boards, only scored 8 points. It's very hard for him to hit that double-double bonus. That's why you don't see him in a lot of my rosters. But he did have a steal, a block, 2 blocks, and an assist. Blake Griffin, 25 and 8, very steady for him. 3 assists, 1 steal, and 2 blocks. And Jamal Crawford jumped off of the bench and had 15 points in 26 minutes to go with the rebound and 3 assists. The story of the game was Mike Conley, though. I mean, at a certain point in the game, up deep into like almost approaching halftime, this dude had not missed a shot. Like he was just lights out. And 5 of them were threes. Like he went nuts. Had a really great game against Chris Paul. He is not afraid of Chris Paul. He is the highest paid point guard in the league, and here's why. He had 30 points for the second time on your snowflake ass Chris Paul. 5 rebounds, 8 assists, and 3 steals for him. Marc Gasol had a really good game. Hit a big 3 to give them the lead and push him over the top. He had 26 points, 6 rebounds, 6 assists, and 1 steal. I think this is a team that we can look to going forward as far as stacking them, especially when Chandler Parsons get healthy. He only had 14 minutes, but he had 4 points, 2 rebounds, 1 assist, and 1 block for him. Zebo had 18 and grabbed 7 boards with an assist. And we also saw Vince Carter get into the mix, 26 minutes. The old man had 12 points, 3 rebounds, 2 assists, and 1 steal for him. The last game on the slate It was a game that we had one of our core four players in. There was Boogie. He had a very slow start first half, but he came out in the second half with a vengeance. Almost brought them back to the point to where we thought it was going to be a really close contest. And Boogie had 26 points and 17 boards in 36 minutes to go with 6 assists and a steal. Very solid game from Boogie Cousins. We will never see him at 8.9K again. You can kiss that goodbye. Rudy Gay, not a very good game. 11 points, 3 rebounds, and 3 assists for him. We also saw Willie Cauley-Stein in 13 minutes off of the bench, had 11 points and 4 rebounds. And Darren Collison has yet to really jump out and start and control the team and run the offense because, he likes to hit the chicks. So I really feel like they're just ushering him into the whole season slowly, because in other sports, football namely, you ain't even going to be playing if you like to hit the chicks. But NBA is a little different. I don't know why, but he was there. He had 10 points, 4 rebounds, and 6 assists to go with 2 steals. Ben McLemore, 14 points, and Matt Barnes showed up and had 15 points and 28 minutes to go with 2 rebounds and 2 assists. On the San Antonio side of the ball, we had 3 guys score 20 points, but nobody really went nuts. We saw Paul Gasol, who probably had the best game for the price. 24 points, 9 rebounds, 2 assists for him, and 2 blocks. So that was a really good game from Paul Gasol. We saw LaMarcus Aldridge for 33 minutes, 21 points, 6 rebounds, 2 assists, 2 steals, and 2 blocks. Kind of an underwhelming performance from Kawhi Leonard. I mean, he wasn't snowflake status, but when you pay $9K for somebody, you expect him to hit 50 or better. And he had 20 points, 6 rebounds, 1 assist, and 4 steals to go with a block. We saw Tony Parker for 25 minutes. He had 14 points and 3 assists, 3 rebounds with 7 assists, and a steal. That was a pretty good game from him. So it was a very good slate. A lot of scoring, a lot of great storylines. It was a really good game, and especially the Oklahoma City Houston game. That was a really great game. I definitely enjoyed that one. I like the way Russell punched it on him at the end. We'll put the exclamation point on the victory. So what we're going to do now, let's jump into some player pricing for tomorrow, see exactly where some guys are, and see if we may be able to, kind of develop a quick player pool. Let's look at it. NBA. And remember, tomorrow's a 5-game slate, right? And I got to be honest with y'all. I got you. James Harden is up to 12.4K. That's ridiculous. There's no way I'm going to play him at 12.4K. No way. Now, before we jump into this 5-game slate, let's talk about slate recognition and what we do. And I want y'all to really pay attention to this. Okay, 7, 8, and 9-game slates those are key areas where we work our core 4 system, where we target 4 guys we like and we do what we do. We already talked about that. Anything less than 6, 7, 8, 9 game slates, anything less than that, when we get into some 6-game slates, but 5-game slates and less, it doesn't matter who our core is, right? These are stack slates. These are where we investigate the highest point totals. We look at whatever games we think the most points are going to be scored in, and we just stack this shit out. We start every lineup as a stack. So every core for every lineup for tomorrow's slate, that 5-game slate, any 5-game slate is going to be a stack in some way. And we're gonna run through one just to show you what I mean, because you can't cherry pick players on a 5-game slate, because there's a great chance of you missing on guys. But if we know that, hey, on a 5-game slate like tomorrow, we know that Portland is playing Houston, why don't we just stack a fucking Portland offense against one of the worst defensive teams in the league that also score points? So there's going to be pressure on Portland to score points too. Why don't we just stack Portland? I'm going to show you that. That's what I got away from the last 5-game slate, and that's why I lost my complete buy-in, because I was trying to go with the core 4 and develop a core 4, but that's not what we do on 5-game slates. We stack offenses. That's how we get to the money on a short slate. So just quickly go through the player pricing. We've got Giannis. For some reason, the dude went nuts and his price went down, so that was pretty cool. We got Giannis at 8.9K here. We got Dame Lillard. Damn, focus camera. I hate that happens. All right, we got Dame Lillard at playing Houston. Dame's at 9.6K. He's the second highest point guard on the slate. But let's go to all so we can see everybody. John Wall at 8.8K going up against the Knicks. I kind of like that if he's going to get his full allotment of minutes. He may be resting. I don't know. Hassan Whiteside, who was always in play at 8.7K. I like him. Towns, if Embiid's in, I don't like Towns tomorrow. We've got Jimmy Butler at Utah. Utah isn't playing like that slow pace that we've been knowing them for. They've been picking up the pace a little bit. So I do think that we can roster Jimmy Butler tomorrow at 8.4K. I even like Gordon Hayward as well. CJ McCollum is somebody who I definitely like at 7.4. We've got, damn, this king. Okay. All right. Okay. Porzingis coming off that big game. He's going to see a lot of ownership tomorrow. I think I'm going to work him into a Knicks stack that I kind of like. Dwayne Wade at 6.6K. Otto Porter at 6.5K. Jabari Parker at 6.3. We've got Zach LaVine, 6.1. Goran Dragic, we need to check on him, see if he's going to be back. We know Derek Favors is going to be out, so that means we can fire up Trey Lyles in some spots. Trevor Ariza is going to be a part of a stack for me as well. Mason Plumlee at 5.5. I like him tomorrow. Derrick Rose, we talked about that with a Knicks stack at 5.4K. Ryan Anderson, definitely a part of a Houston stack. See, that's what we're going to have to do tomorrow. In order to win the money, we're going to have to stack some guys. We're going to have to. That's just a part of the game. It might sound crazy, but that is what we're going to have to do to really get to where we want to get to. So, now that we've gone through just some brief player pricing, let's go ahead before we get into each game. Let's just I'm going to show you a little quick stack, right? All right, so let's say we go to these games. Now we know we got a 5-game slate. It's a short slate. I'm going to go, this is probably going to be the highest point total on the slate. This is Portland at Houston. I'm going to go here. Now, something like this right here, I'm not taking James Harden. The price is too heavy. I don't want James Harden. So I'm going to stack on the Portland side. And of course, I'm going to go Lillard. I'm going to go McCollum. I'm going to go Plumlee. And I'm going to go Harkless. Now, I still want more of this game. I want some of the Houston side, too, because if my stacking is correct, if Portland's going to be scoring a lot of points, that means Houston is going to be, playing well, scoring points as well. But I like Clint Capella. I'm going to go here. That's what I like on this side. So let's look at it. So far, in our stack, we've got Dame, CJ McCollum, Harkless, Plumlee, and Capella. That's what we got. Now we've got 5.7K in remaining salary. We've got to fill a power forward and a guard, forward, and a power forward, right? I really talked about me liking Trey Lyles because Thing is out, because Derek Favors is out. So I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna lock in Trey Lyles because Derek Favors is out. Now Trey Lyles at 4.1K. I'm gonna lock him in. Right. So now remaining salary, we're at 6.5K remaining salary. Now I need a forward and a guard. I'm gonna go to guard. I'm gonna try to see how high I can pay up and see if I can get like another really good player here. Dwayne Wade, Ricky Rubio, Tyler Johnson. Now let's check all of them. Okay. Let's see if we can come over here. Giannis, John Wall, Whiteside, Towns, Butler. Let's go Butler here. Go Butler at guard, at forward. Now we need a guard. We got 4.6K remaining. And who do we like at 4.6K? Nobody. I don't like anybody at 4.6K. So let's move off of Butler. We're gonna go to shooting guard. Let's put Butler at shooting guard and see what happens. Damn, it's not let's do it. Well, you get the gist of what I'm doing. I'm stacking an offense. I've never made lineups on my Xbox, so it's giving me a little trouble. But you get the gist of what I'm doing. We're stacking an offense. That's the way we're gonna compete tomorrow. So let's go ahead and jump into the point totals real quick. I didn't want to make the video this long, but sorry about that. First game is the New York Knicks going to Washington to take on the Wizards. Now there is no point total for this game right now, probably because we don't know what's going on with Bradley Beal or John Wall. But we'll be talking about plays that I like from this game. If John Wall plays, I like him. Even if the minutes are restricted to a certain degree, I still like him because both of these teams are not very good. So we should see a full allotment of minutes from whoever plays. On the other side of the ball, I definitely like Porzingis in this game. I even like Melo a little bit in this game too because Washington is one of those teams that struggles to rebound and they're not very good against the three. Now, does that mean that Markieff Morris is going to be in play because we're going to see Melo defense? Yes, Markieff Morris is in play, as well as Otto Porter. Now, Otto Porter's his price is a little too high for me, but those of you that have been on him, I think you can continue to play him. And if you see that Wall's going to be fine or Wall is out, that makes the Washington stack very cheap and very effective. So you can go with a Markieff Morris, Gortat, and Otto Porter stack. That's going to still allow you to pay up for whatever big stud you need in some other area. So I do like Washington stack tomorrow. On the Knicks side, I would go Noah, Porzingis, Rose. I would even go a four-man stack and add Melo to it as well. That would still be cheap enough for me to add one of those Whitesides, one of those the big stud that we really want to have in our lineup anyway, Giannis or somebody like that. Next game we're going to get into is going to be the Milwaukee Bucks going to Miami to take on the Heat. Really don't have a point total on this game yet. We don't know the status of Goran Dragic, whether he's going to be playing or he's not going to be playing. If he does play, I like him. Milwaukee definitely struggles against point guards. Giannis does not play the point guard. He doesn't play defense on the point guard. He covers the shooting guard or small forward. So I definitely would like Goran Dragic tomorrow if he's in play. I love Whiteside in this game. Jabari Parker is going to be a player on the other side that a lot of people are going to shy away from because they're going to see that matchup on the low block with either Justice Winslow if he does play or Whiteside in some cases. But I do like Jabari Parker. I think he's turned the corner, and him and Giannis are going to be in play for me tomorrow. Kind of a value cheaper guy is going to be Mirza Teletovic. He shoots the three really well. This is probably going to be a lower point total, so it's not going to be a game that I'm going to be targeting very much. I'm going to get my one-off play from this game. The guy that I'm just going to start one or two of them from each side. I'm not going to roster like multiple guys off of the Milwaukee side or the Miami side. I'm going to be most of my lineups are going to start with a Minnesota stack, a Philadelphia stack, or a Portland stack. The next game we're going to get into is going to be that Portland game. It's at Houston. Is a 218.5 point total. Houston is at home, so they're going to be giving up 3.5 points to the Portland Trailblazers. I love Dame in this game. I think we're going to finally see that Dame game we've been waiting for the last couple of outings. He's going up against some really whack Houston defense, so he's going to be able to get off. I also like, as you can see, I like CJ McCollum in this game. I kind of like Mason Plumlee a little bit. I even think we can go as far as the Portland bench to get some points, especially when you talk about Evan Turner at his low price point. He's going to be a guy to have in your lineup if you are stacking this Portland game. On the other side, I don't like James Harden at all. I think we can get money from the guys around him like we did last night, namely with Clint Capella, Eric Gordon, or Trevor Ariza. Patrick Beverly may be back tomorrow. We need to check on that. Stay in tune on Twitter with the beat writers, see what they have to say. The next game we're going to get into is going to be the Philadelphia 76ers on a back-to-back going to Minnesota. They are probably on the plane now. So if Embiid plays, I love him, and I don't like Cat. If Embiid doesn't play, I love Karl Anthony Towns, coming off a kind of lackluster performance last time. A lot of people are not going to be on him like they would have been if he played well, but it's a 5-game slate. Ownership's going to be high anyway. So I still would like Cat if Embiid is not playing. If Embiid is playing, I do like Cat. If Embiid is not playing, I do like Cat. But if Embiid is playing, I don't like him. I think we can go with what I went with last night. I posted it on Twitter. I tweeted it out about it. I had a very cheap Philadelphia stack. In this game in particular, it's going to be a high pace, a lot of running. It's a 214 point total with Minnesota giving up 11.5 points. If Embiid plays, I don't trust that. I don't buy that. I like Sergio Rodriguez. I like Ersan Ilyasova. I like Dario Saric off of the bench. And of course, I like Joel Embiid. On the Minnesota side of the ball, I think all of these guys are going to be in play. This is probably the easily stacked game because there's not those high prices for the Lillards and the McCollums. But I mean, you can get Zach LaVine at a fair price, I believe. You can get, if you like Karl Anthony Towns, you get him at a fair price. Even Andrew Wiggins. I mean, who's going to see defense from? Who's going to see defense from? I think you can still get him in your lineup. And the last game on the slate is going to be the Chicago Bulls going to Utah. Now, this is kind of tricky because people are going to see Utah and not want to roster many guys from this game, but this is a stackable game as well, especially if Rajon Rondo is in or out. Because if Rajon Rondo is in, I like him. I like him, Wade, and Butler. If Rondo is out, I like Jerry Grant, Wade, and Butler. To take it a step further, we know that Derek Favors is not going to be in the lineup, so there's going to be some rebounds out there for grabs. That puts Taj Gibson in play as well. So this is one of those sneaky stackable games that it's going to be a low-owned stack. A lot of people are not going to stack the Chicago offense in this game, but I kind of like them. On the other side of the ball, we need to find out what's going on with George Hill. That's why there's no point total on this game. Favors is out. George Hill is out. Rondo is questionable, so we don't know exactly who's all in and who's out. That's why we need to stay in tune to Twitter, like I always say. So if George Hill plays, I like him. I like him a lot if he plays. I already like Trey Lyles. Trey Lyles is probably going to be the only person that's going to be in every lineup because he is definitely a salary saver, starting up-and-coming young player at 4.1K to return that 6x value. He has to get 25 points. I think that's very doable tomorrow. So you're going to see him. He's going to be the chalk, probably the cheap chalk for everyone. You're going to see him everywhere, even in my lineups as well. Gordon Hayward can be a really good play. I like him. I do not like Rodney Hood. That's why I wouldn't stack on the Utah side. I would stack on the Chicago side because I don't like Rodney Hood. And he has to be in a good matchup in order for him. He's going to see a lot of Jimmy Butler. And he's got to be in a good matchup for that stack to work because you would want Gordon Hayward, you'd want Trey Lyles, you'd want Rodney Hood, and possibly Rudy Gobert, who I think is in a good spot too. So that is tomorrow's 5-game slate. Remember, play lightly on these small slates. They can get really tricky, but if you're gonna play, you've got to stack the offenses that you like. Check back with the point totals throughout the day, see what they are. Get these guys in your lineups. Keep them together. They're a team. They play together anyway, so they might as well play together in your DraftKings lineup. We had a really good night in the sweatshop. Thank you to everyone that has liked, subscribed, shared, really been a part of all the content. It's really wonderful. It's dope. I've definitely enjoyed doing the show every night for you. If you want to support the show, you can do so PC only on your PC. Go to the YouTube channel. You're going to see a link that says support the show. You're more than welcome to support the show any way that you feel. If you wanted to send something to my personal PayPal, there's also a link in my bio that will take you straight there. Thank you very much. I hope you all had a wonderful Wednesday, and let's have an even better Thursday. Let's go, and remember, in the sweatshop, we always keep it 300.